Hi guys, I wanted to show you my new 10-year diary from Midori, which I'm going to be using next year for memory keeping. It's a really cool product and there are hardly any reviews of it on YouTube, so I thought that you might be interested to see a walkthrough. There are a few different colors. It's available in, I think, at least red, blue, and possibly black, and maybe some others. So you can see here that it's a lovely hardbound. It has cloth binding and it comes in this very nice sturdy cardboard box. So when you take it out of the box, you can see that it is just really stunning and well made. It's pretty similar to a B6 in size, but it's a little bit narrower. So you can see it here in comparison to a B6 Stalogy. And it's very chunky, as one might expect from a 10-year diary. It's beautifully well made. It feels like a very high quality hardbound book. And you can see that it has gold foiling on the cover and on the sides. So on the cover it says 10-year diary, and then it has this little logo of a door with a lock. And then here there's a key, which I think is really cool, and it says Midori. So the key and lock theme is going to repeat throughout the diary. So you can see it again here on the end paper. So it has start and end with the key. And I think it's really nice because it's kind of like the key is the diary and it's unlocking the door to the treasures of your memories. It has rounded corners and it has cream paper. And the whole theme for this is blue and red. So the cover is red and then the printing is all blue, which I think is really nice. So it has a little prologue here. And everything is in English and Japanese. So you can write whatever you want for the 10 years. So it could be like an index to important dates, or it could be a little summary of every year. You could write down your highlights of the year, which is something that I like to do in my 5-year techo, which I'm using at the moment as a memory keeper. And that's almost coming up to the end of the 5 years, which is why I decided to try something different next time. And I thought that 10 years rather than 5 years would be a really cool experiment, because at the end of 10 years, like, wow, that's, really kind of a major chunk of life there. So I think that I will use this for writing the highlights of each year. And then you've got a blank page here before it starts. And if you look closely, you can see that the lines are a little bit wobbly. They're not completely straight. So it kind of gives the impression of, rather than like, just straight printed lines, it kind of feels like they've been hand drawn. So then we've got January, and the image for January is a door. You have 2 bookmarks. One is navy and one is red, in keeping with this red and blue theme. I remember that one of the reasons that I decided to go with the red instead of the blue is that for the blue, it's yellow and blue. And I kind of felt like the red and gold was a bit more regal, which seems befitting of a 10-year diary. So here you can see that you have this little key drawing. This is like the side of a key, and you have it on both sides, and it recurs throughout. Each month has the same image in the same position, so it's not quite like a flip book in the true style, like say the Hobonichi Day Free Techo, which has like a proper flip book, I think, where the images move. It doesn't have that, but you can see that when you flip the sides, you get one image for each month, and they move in order of the months, so you can instantly see which month you're on and flip to that. And I think that's a really nice touch. And it's beautiful that it's not just like a square or a rectangle like it is in most planners when they mark the month on the side like this. It's actually an image. Here you have the space to fill in the rest of the year. So let's say 2023 is when I'll be starting. And then you can write the day of the week there. So that's what I'm planning to do. And then it gives you, if you count the top line, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines to write on. But I think that I am just going to write on these 4 lines and leave this one blank so that there's a little bit of room in between each entry. So I'm just going to write the 4 main things that I remember for the day, the main things that happened. They could be highlights, they could be lowlights, they could just be, whatever kind of strikes my fancy that I want to remember about the day. And I think that having 4 or 5 lines is really manageable, because it's so little that you can do it in a couple of minutes and it doesn't feel like a burden, but then it's enough that if you actually wanted to journal and say write complete sentences, you could get a good few sentences and you can get like a paragraph in here. So if you wanted to use it as a kind of short journal where you just write prose about each day, you could totally do that as well. And it has 5 years per page, so each 2-page spread is going to give you the 10 years. So this is the 1st of January for 10 years. If you wanted to have more space, you could adapt this and use it as a 5-year journal and just use one of these entire horizontal spreads for 1 year, but I really like the idea of using it for 10 years. So it just continues like this, where you have your 2-page spread per day, and I think it's really fun that you can see 10 whole years like this at a glance. So what I'm thinking of doing is using a different color of ink each day, so that by the end of the 10 years, there will just be a complete rainbow of different colors. And you can see that it goes on like this until you get to the end of January. And then February also has a door motif, but it's a different door. So if you compare it to January, you can see that it's different. It looks a little more like the one on the cover. And each month is going to have a different picture of a different kind of door. So I think that that's a lovely detail. And then our little picture for February is a mitten, so I think that that's really cool as well. You can see that you just get half of the mitten on each side of the page, and then again that will continue on for the whole of the month. So if you're wondering about leap years, because that is a big question in terms of multi-year journals, you can see that they actually give you the whole 10 years, and that's because it's undated. So depending on which year you start this, you might have a leap year in that year or not. So unlike the 5-year techo from Hobonichi, which is dated, where they just give you the year that has February 29th, and sometimes it ends up being a whole spread. For this, they give you each of the 10 years, February 29th, so a lot of them you just probably leave blank. Then at the end of the month, you get a blank page for notes. So you could use this as like a monthly recap, or where you write down the highlights of the month. And then we have March, which has another kind of door. And the little theme for March is a butterfly. Then if we go on to April, we have a different kind of door again. The image for April looks like some kind of a flower to me. Then we have May, which is a single door this time, and it looks like it has some mirrors in it. And our image is a balloon. This is just such a beautiful touch, having these individual images for each month. That just makes the diary feel really special. Then we have our June door, and this is an umbrella or a parasol. So this is interesting. At the end of June, it looks like the last 2 days are something else. This looks to me like a rainbow. So I don't know, I assume that that's intentional, that like at the end of June, the weather turns hot and the rain stops. I'm not sure, but I think it's a cool touch. Then this is our July door. And for July, this looks to me like a dandelion or a sunflower maybe. Probably a sunflower. This is our August door. And the image for August is a fish. I think it's a koi. And I think this is really cool, how you can see that you've got the head here and then you have the tail on the other side. And then sometimes it reverses. So here's the tail and here's the head. It's just such attention to detail, which I think is enough to make this an appealing option if you're going for a multi-year planner or diary. Then this is our September door. Kind of looks like stained glass. And it's a mushroom or a toadstool. And here you can see that it does actually change a little bit over the course of the month. See, there's some different mushrooms. This one has a kind of like solid color cap, whereas this one is a little bit dotted. It's a different kind of mushroom. So it alternates a little bit between those two. It's so much fun, I think, when you're going through this diary. You can just chance upon these slightly different images, and it's really nice. Then this is our October door. And the image for October looks like a pumpkin or some other kind of gourd to me. Then we have November, which has a very plain door in contrast to some of the others. And it's a cup of tea, which I think is just beautiful. I guess it could be coffee or hot chocolate. Maybe it's a pumpkin spice latte. That's suitable for November. And then finally we have December, which is a deer. And I think that this one is just absolutely adorable. So there you have the head of the deer, and there you have the tail. And I think for this one, it's always the same. You always have the head on the left and the tail on the right. It's just such a cute image. And then that takes us to the end. And then at the end, you have another really nice touch, an epilogue. So the fact that you have two of these means that at the beginning, you could write something like your vision board for the year. And then at the end, you could write your highlights or, you know, some of the most memorable things that happened in that year. I think that that's a really cool touch as well, because it means that you can just experiment a bit and you can kind of really make the most of what a multi-year diary has to offer. Or like your predictions for the year and then what actually happened, let's say in terms of, I don't know, world events or something. That might be fun as well. And then seeing it over a 10-year span would be really cool. And then at the back you have a memo page, and all of these pages are the same. They have the slightly wavy hand-drawn looking lines, and then you have a final memo page here. So you've got two memo pages at the end, and then you have the end paper, which is a thicker blue cardstock, but still pretty flexible on both ends. And then you've got the key again, and then some personal information here, and that's it. So just a really, really lovely 10-year diary, and I'm excited to start using it and to showing you what it's like. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!